Hey everyone, Sheff here. On May 3rd, I helped stream a EU 5 vs 5 tournament in Edge of the Mists with DigiKiwi and with Haavok as my co-commentators. And this is the VOD for that stream. But I did want to note right at the start, I had some things configured incorrectly in VDO Ninja and through OBS that led to the stream quality being a little worse than I would have liked for the actual POV sharing of matches. I understand what the mistake was now that the tournament's done, but I just wanted to note up front that there is a little bit of a quality issue, and I'll be improving on that in the future. But I did want to make sure that the VOD went out because I think it was a really good tournament overall, and I'd like to have some record of it before Amazon decides to purge the VOD. So, hope you enjoy. Quality will be better in the next tournaments that we put on, and I'll see you in those. Have fun. All right, I think this works. So if I turn on desktop audio, I think I can actually get you guys in.
Yeah, you should be coming in for mine now as well.
Looks good to me. I have audio. I think we're good to go. We're only 26 minutes late. That's not even that bad in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, it's basically no time at all.
Yeah. So if you've been sitting in Twitch chat for 20 plus minutes, you're like, God, when is this going to start? I can't wait to watch 5v5 PvP. It turns out audio is hard, and being a streamer is hard, and that's the excuse that
Yep,
we're gonna stick with until we figure out a better solution going forwards.
cool. Uh,
But I think we are. I think we're good to go. So have we started rounds here? I saw a couple people fighting. I don't know if they're just scrimming for fun or do these
I
count?
think that they did start.
Okay.
It looks like WA and WTF might have been going already.
All right. So what I should do is I should go talk to Leon and I should get the bracket link because he will probably
Yes,
have a bracket link.
he does, and I can send it to you
Oh,
right
you
now.
have? Well, we should have shared chat since we're doing a co-broadcast, right? Like if you put it in chat,
Oh,
can I see it?
yeah. Oh, yes, that's a good question.
Right?
Uh, let me.
You got to turn it on, it looks like.
Oh, you're right. I don't actually know how you turn that on.
That's probably in a settings
Um,
menu somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah, you're host. You have to enable it. But then I
Okay,
can respond to all of your chatters. You can respond to mine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, where is? Oh, shared. Oh, there it is. Okay,
There we
there
go.
we
Share
go.
chat start. All right. So put that
Nice.
bracket link in there. We can update our match ticker and we can gamble on seeing if POV works out. Since
All
we
right, cool.
tested that
I
pre-stream,
believe
but we never tried
that.
it live.
I believe that is the bracket link.
Excellent. Then
Uh,
yeah, it looks like Luxury Kids is up 3-0 already. So I will go ahead and get that
nice.
updated. This part, I know this part works. I know that's right. So
Okay.
WAW up 3-0 over Suspicious Vegetables already. And they're into the fourth one here as well. There we go. So we're not going to quite be ready to cast POV for this one, but after this we can get into some of the POVs.
Let's
RCNQ's got
see.
one down there. Looks like they managed to get him up though. Quick stealth on the Untamed. That Untamed is still focused though, down to M18, 18, 20. Still, they got a nice stealth off there again as well. So they're managing to break target often enough that they're not going to be able to focus him all the way down. Maybe switching here to a Spellbreaker. It looks like they have a Spellbreaker in downstate. Getting a res off on him as well. Switching now, looking for new targets. Hypnos going into downstate there quick, but it looks like they got Hypnos back up. So one of the things is they who are they trying to focus now? Because Digi, you can see this on my end if you're looking at my stream, yeah?
I actually just got the POV up for.
Okay, perfect. Let me pull up you, and I'll watch you as well then, so we can keep an eye on things together.
Cool.
So one of the things that is interesting about the way that Leon decided to do this tournament is he's actually banned Minstrel as a stat. Yeah,
Yes.
and I
Which
know,
is
like
pretty interesting.
I'm more of a like a 20v20 kind of guy, 25v25 kind of guy.
Hmm.
But my understanding of the roaming scene is that the roaming scene is
I think they're lasting a lot longer than the last one for sure. I'm guessing they're probably running tankier runes in general since they have less minstrels. Um, they are living a pretty long time. Like I'm kind of surprised. My guess is it's probably to do with the supports that they have picked as well. It's kind of an interesting comp, actually. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like they're actually running double Spellbreaker as well, which I would actually, I did think that that was going to be one of the comps for sure. I don't know if it's one of them Minstrel support. It might be running like Staff Hammer or something, but that's my current guess. For WTF. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, Spellbreaker's been pretty good for a long time. They keep nerfing it though, which is pretty tragic, but
I chose you.
you got a reveal off on one of them. Yeah, it looks like they're focusing the other Untamed as well. Probably one of the biggest damage dealers and boon rips on their squad. Yeah. Ooh, down. That burst was crazy. I think so, yeah. Yeah, brutal. Really fast banner time, too.
Precast.
One moment. There you go. Yeah, probably.
What we've seen in the past is that the difference between a coordinated burst and a non-coordinated burst is often the difference between a 3-minute match and a 1.5-minute match. Because if the burst is off sync, then the supports can keep them up with heals, which may have been what was happening in that first round. This second one, that burst was so coordinated.
Yeah, for
it's a lot
sure.
harder to deal with.
So what are the big sources of burst damage that you're looking at? You know, you're saying the difference between a 1.5 minute match and a 3 minute match is whether you get your burst off correctly. And is that because of cooldown sync, generating cooldown mismatch, or something else that you're looking at for these rounds?
My guess is that they're running the.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say they're running probably the
go
might skill on the support warrior to get an instant stack of 20 might, and then bursting off of the untamed most likely.
Okay.
Probably looking at. Yep, and timing it. So counting down, 3, 2, 1, and then you're going to look at the Spellbreaker trying to land double F1s into a Greatsword F1 if that's what he's running, and to the Untamed trying to land the burst, Unleash burst.
Yeah. Speaking of, here's the elite pop on the
Oh,
Untamed.
he's
Really
already
trying to
down.
chase that enemy Untamed down, and it looks like they are going to get that banner off again.
Instant.
Yep. Switching target again. This is very much the same strategy as last time, but with RC and Q already down 1, it's going to be a difficult mountain for them to climb.
Oh, swapping over to the Kata.
Mm-hmm. Kata doing fine to hang on for now, but this is an early 5v4.
Incredibly hard to come back from a 5v4. I've seen it maybe once or twice.
Yeah, every single body matters so much at these smaller scales. Whereas, if you're doing 15s, you could fight
Burst
back.
on the Untamed is about to be up again.
Yeah, but they've got the Spellbreaker into down state now, and you are unlikely to have very many cooldowns at that point to get that res back up.
Yep.
Most of your signets are probably out, most of your banners are probably out, and you should just be able to walk over the remaining 3 players here fairly easily. And that certainly looked like a fight to the last man, so I'm wondering if maybe that was their last round and we did miss one at the start early on.
Yeah, that's probably the case.
Especially considering they're leaving the arena. Yeah, I'm gonna guess that was probably the end of the match. So that looks like that would have been RCNQ going down 1-3 versus WTF. Possibly 2-3, since there might have been one match in there that we missed, but that will be, then challenge is now updated. So it's WTF Rick over Reconquista 3-1.
Yes.
Go ahead and get the alternate matches ticker adjusted.
So, Sheff, I heard this, I think, right as I jumped in, but were you saying that in the end he decided to ban minstrels entirely?
I believe that he has banned the minstrel stat prefix from this tournament thanks to the use of a gear checker add-on that I'm actually not familiar with. I've heard that you have gear checkers that exist, but I've actually never played around with them. So
interesting.
It's certainly an interesting way to play around with the rule sets in some of these tournaments, right?
Certainly. And I think that, again, talking about the 5v5s, there is some warrant potentially for dropping down the tankiness.
Mm-hmm.
My general take is that I've never seen a glassy DPS that was able to be sustained against a coordinated burst, even with minstrels, because at the end of the day, minstrels is more about survivability of the healer than it is about maintaining somebody else's survivability.
Yeah, it's just a hyper efficient statting overall. If you're a support, it does absolutely everything that you want it to do.
Yep, that's accurate.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any? Are you ready for me to swap over to your POV, by the way, Kiwi?
What team is next?
This is WAW versus KA.
Okay, yeah. Let me get
just
KA.
So I've got the overview for this first round, and then we'll swap into some POV.
All right, I am in KA's POV now.
Perfect. Moving over. Let's go take a look at what KA is doing. Can you full screen this as well? Currently, it's like the Discord interface.
I believe this is currently full screened, but
Okay.
I might be able to. No, sadly not.
So KA opening up on a druid here. Druid entering downstate fairly early.
Wow.
Banner, well, I guess they don't need a banner when they got 3 downs in the same place, huh?
Yeah, that was brutal. I believe KA came in second place, or was it third in the NA team fight? No.
Second
was
place
second.
in
It
the
was
fives.
second.
Yeah.
That's correct.
There.
There we go. That's the one I was looking for. Okay. Slowly ramping up on the professionalism of our broadcast.
Slowly but surely.
So KA going up 1-0, yeah?
Yes.
Get that adjusted.
They are running a no spellbreaker comp, which is I don't remember the last time I saw a no spellbreaker comp in 5v5s at this level.
Yeah, KA looking like
Certainly not in the last
Untamed,
tourney.
Scourge, Chrono, and then what's that fifth? Is that a Tempest?
It's
it
a
looks like?
Tempest.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can absolutely do that. KA is blue. WAW is red. There we go. So KA going up 1-0 off of the back of a significant down stack there at the start of that round. But let's see if they're able to adjust over the course of this match. So what are the things that you're looking for in a good opener here? What kind of profession are you thinking about opening up on? What kind of, angle are you looking for? What are the things that tell you if you have a good opening coming up?
Well, with no spellbreaker, it's pretty rough since you can't get the reveal. Honestly, the druid's a pretty good target in my opinion, though.
Yep. And starting with that. I think they got that stealth off. No, he's in downstate stealth.
He's
so they're
dead.
probably going to
Yeah.
get that conversion off. That is a conversion. Switching on to Scourge. Very early GG there. Well, I guess not when you've got that druid down immediately, but
Yeah, druid's so
just-
squishy.
so much damage coming out at the start that it's going to be really difficult to sustain through that. And I don't believe druid has a
notice
ton
that
of
they're
active
using-
defenses.
No,
Yeah,
they
no.
have stealth, and if you see there, they were revealed the entire opener, probably from the Untamed, or would have had to been from the Untamed.
Yeah, sick him from Untamed onto the druid, and the only way that the
Yep.
druid has to stealth is by exiting Celestial Avatar, right? Or
Yeah.
they have
Unless
an
they're gonna
alternate means of doing it.
Blast smoke scale.
Oh, okay, blast smoke scale as well. Yeah,
Judicious use of judicious use of smoke scale, but yeah, it's primarily, and so to get it, you have to sacrifice your heals rotation.
right. And you've got the personal blasts baked in on Warhorn 5 if you're using Warhorn, or what is it, Staff 3?
Accurate.
Yeah, so you do have your own self-contained blasts, but if you're sickened, there's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do about it. What is WAW?
Yeah, you've got Stone Sacred. Yeah.
Scourge. You've got load over there. Scourge, Chrono, Scourge, Druid, and a fifth player who I haven't tracked down yet. I'm going to assume Untamed because it seems like everybody plays Untamed these days.
Yeah, Untamed is pretty good right now.
Here come the next two. Scourge, yep. Scourge, Untamed, Scourge, Chrono, Druid is WAW's comp here. So a double no Spellbreaker comp after seeing 2 in the previous round.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised by it, honestly, that they're running no Spellbreaker. You just lose out on a ton of Boon Rip and Reveal. But they do have a lot of stealth, so...
Maybe a consequence of losing access to Minstrel as a statting.
True,
You have to work a
yeah.
little harder to get things that have good boon uptime in the first place. Let's see how
They are
this
taking
game
advantage of
goes.
double Scourge, which is pretty interesting to me.
And it does look like on OBS or on Arc DPS that the Scourges are putting in work on boon removal there.
Yeah.
A bit of a messy stealth there, and the pet didn't quite get stealth originally. They're already back out. This is going to be a fairly easy time to open up on a focus target here for KA.
Oh, he got
And that's
revealed too.
very unfortunate. So this Druid... Oh, it's a good stealth off that Druid, though. That is going to break their target initially. It looks like they found them again already. But that's a bit of a delay
Scourge
on
getting
that
pressure.
opener. AA struggling to make progress here, potentially. Another good target break on that stealth.
Ooh,
Although that
Tempest
Untamed
on
getting
KA going low.
and a Scourge into downstate, that's going to be difficult to recover from. And that is going to be the 3-0 round score. But definitely
WAW almost got the Tempest.
Yeah, definitely a better opener
That-
from WAW there. Just not quite good enough to clear KA.
The when all you have is Sikkim for your stealth removal, that was good on WAW to kite it out and then re-stealth, so that they weren't actually trying to push through that reveal.
Mm-hmm.
Those scourges are doing massive work there, both on strips but also on AoE damage and on CCing into that. The Condi from those scourges was pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
At least one of them, I think one of them might have been heal scourge. The other one was certainly damaged.
I mean, we know from 15s and even a bit bigger than 15s that, Breach in particular is really the draw of bringing a Scourge in the first place. It just gives you this exceptional melee stopping power. It gives you a ton of boon rip. It does a pretty significant amount of damage. So, being able to run Breach, and then also when you've got the Wells component of Scourge as well, you've got some of the Shades, it gives you really good kind of area denial and area positioning denial so that you just make places on the ground where your opponent cannot afford to stand. And if they have trouble getting out of that spot, then they're starting off on the wrong foot.
Well, especially into these melee heavy comps.
Right.
That is pretty hard.
Moving now into Sus and RCNQ.
Yes.
Sus over here with Druid, Spellbreaker. I'm sorry. Is that a blade? What's the icon with the bullet and the lightning bolts next to it? Is that a blade swarm that they're running?
A bullet and lightning bolts.
I believe it's a blade swarm.
Yes.
You have
is correct.
POV ready
That
for
is
this?
correct.
This looks like spice. Let me know and I can switch over to you there, Kiwi.
Yeah, it should be good.
Cool. Let's go take a look at what is going on over here. Oh, we need one that's
Oh.
in match.
Oh, they were fighting down there, but
they're
it looks like
starting already.
What is going on right now?
I'm gonna keep an eye from the top view, and then you can. Well, maybe they're not fighting. Maybe they're just scrimming. I can't tell if this is a fight or not. It looks very tentative, very, very tentative.
Yeah, I'm very confused on what's going on here.
They definitely
Pretty sure they're
blasted
fighting
stealth.
next.
I wonder if you know what? I wonder if this was like a round cancel.
Yeah, it probably was.
'Cause they blasted stealth and did everything, and then they didn't really engage. I bet they had to cancel round for some reason.
Yeah.
And now they're going all the way back to the banner. All right, so it looks like we had a false start there for whatever reason. Player DC or some kind of stacking sigil maybe or something like that. But we'll reset here and give it another shot. And do you have POV up for one of these combatants?
Yes. Currently, RC.
Switch over to that now. So this
RNCQ.
is RCNQ on blue side. Blue team, RCNQ. Take these scores back to 0. And then for red team, we have Sus.
Looks like they're stealthing. They got a reveal off.
Opening up on Spellbreaker here.
Ooh,
It's a good opener.
doesn't get the heal off.
And that's a good banner.
It's going to be pretty tough to come back from that.
Opening on a Harbinger now, getting a decent stealth off there, breaking all targets, but they have refound the Harbinger, and the Harbinger is going to be entering downstate shortly afterwards. Following up with Druid, but that should be a GG at that point. So that Stas is doing something interesting here, I think.
Yeah, Bladesworn.
I'd be curious to what you think about this comp is that they're.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about the Bladesworn.
There's a Bladesworn in there.
After the loss of Alacrity, I haven't seen hardly any of them being used.
Yeah.
Unless they're using it for DPS. The boon uptime is still good, but without Alacrity, I don't know why you would do that over support Spellbreaker.
Yeah, exactly. Which we've been seeing on the other teams, like WTF and others.
The difference between a very well cooked comp and an overcooked comp is if it works. So
True.
We'll see.
Yeah, so I'm seeing from them Spellbreaker, Harbinger, Bladesworn, Base Warrior, and Druid.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I'm surprised they're running so many warriors. I feel like, do they have an Untamed?
Not that I saw. I think there's only one Ranger in there, and it's their Druid.
I think they're missing out not having an Untamed. It's doing, like, even just looking at the arc DPS right now for this team, like, the Untamed is doing so much damage.
Yeah, and that's fairly typical in general. One of the things that we talked about in the last NA tournament at the end of the rounds was, what do you guys think is coming in that updated balance patch? And everybody was like, Untamed is going to be so good. Everything else is getting nerfed. It's all going to be Untamed. And we have seen Untamed in every single comp so far, except for Sus's here.
I'm curious seeing the Untamed running. Oh, they're running staff for additional blasts at the start. Nice.
Early reveal. They're opening up on Bladesworn. The only things I can tell you about Bladesworn are things that a base warrior can do. So they're going to have access to the Defiant Stance heal. They're going to have access to Balance Stance. They're going to have access to good defensive utilities. And it looks like he was using quite a few of them there for a while, but that is a big old clump of downs as their sustain just buckles under the pressure of the damage that Untamed is putting out. There is only so much you can do when you've got an Untamed beating you with a hammer over and over and over again.
Yeah, that damage, I mean, just look at that damage chart. It's actually crazy.
Yeah. I believe that is RCNQ going up to 2-0.
Yep. Yeah, we're seeing pretty strong performance.
Yeah.
From RC.
It is actually incredibly interesting. It seems that I know that in roaming, the bunker comps are fairly strong, but in anything above that, it seems like power, even with minstrels involved, power has definitely in the ascendancy over support currently. And so it is interesting to watch that in action with these Untamed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an enormous amount of damage and ability to stick on targets, right? And they didn't get hurt at all in the last patch, whereas pretty much all of the other primary DPS were toned down at least slightly.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing they really nerfed for Untamed was spear healing, I believe. And I think that might have only been PvP.
Okay.
Is spear even the weapon that you want to be using on Untamed? I see most of them in like hammer or mace, it feels like.
Spear has a lot of really good ambush skills that do a lot of damage. So like when they have Spear 5 up, it's super, super good because the burst on it's pretty high. But all the rest of your burst comes in hammer for sure.
Okay.
But it's also good for self-sustain since you have 2 self-stealths as well. So it's pretty strong.
You also have unblockable range on 3, which is cleave and can crit very high. You have the stealth on the de-stealth, the de-targeting, and the ambush skill on Spear is a 600 radius or 600 range cone. and so you don't
Yep.
actually have to be right up next to him to get it off,
Very
which is
slow stealth
pretty
coming out
massive.
there from Sus, just to notice this match starts.
Yeah.
They've also switched over to Weaver here, it looks like. Maybe trying to rethink a couple things about the comp. Yeah, Weaver doing a decent job of sustaining for now. Although we do have a Spellbreaker into downstate now, and this is going to be a lot of
And the
pressure coming
Weaver.
out.
Yeah.
The Weaver's going to be able to mist and soak a couple invulns, but there are too many sources of damage coming in here.
Yeah, I think that Sus's comp is kind of cooked right now. They might need to make some pretty drastic changes. It's just so hard fighting into like the Untamed and Chrono right now.
Yeah. Theory crafting is definitely an art. You know, you don't always necessarily have to play meta, quote unquote, but I think you have to have
No.
a decent idea of here's what I expect my enemy to do, and here's how I'm going to counter their plan. And it looks like Sus didn't quite manage to accomplish that in those rounds at least. So that is RCNQ moving out of losers round 1 into losers bracket round 2, setting up a matchup with RCNQ and Luxury Kids. And then in the semis, we have Kinguta and WTF Rick, which
Nice.
I don't think that's the one we're going to see yet. This looks like we're going to play out losers round 2 before we get to the semis.
Oh, okay, cool. Looks like we'll just be watching RC again.
Yeah, so going right back into it here.
Yeah, a lot of these guys are also running like really high boon removal off of the Untamed as well.
Right. Legro's in chat saying,
Pretty
when
hard.
is NA playing? NA was, when was that? 2-3 months ago, something like that?
Yeah.
So I think the likely plan, you'd have to ask Leon about this because he's actually the one organizing this tournament, is he'll probably just alternate between NA and EU, and it looks like he's planning on having one of these once every 3 months or so. So I would expect maybe the next NA5's tournament to be July, maybe August, somewhere around there. But I think a lot of these teams are switch shooters anyway. For example, KA, currently playing in the EU tournament, was also a team that was in the NA tournament. It's nice to have a couple tournament outlets for the 5v5 scene after it was fairly quiet for a pretty long time. And then Siren also says the Untamed's mostly playing the boon removal and ambush trait. I would expect them to be, because that's the one of Untamed's biggest strengths, is that it's good upfront damage, but then it's also really competitive boon removal. But I am not an Untamed main, so Haavok and Kiwi might have a better perspective on specific trait choices that we might expect people to be running.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're running it. It's that plus the Spores explosion skill just makes so much boon removal uptime that like it's really hard to work into unless you also have it. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they're running it.
I'm actually super interested to watch that double Scourge comp, because that is going. Untamed has almost no Condi clear. They're incredibly reliant on their supports. Plus, high weakness uptime is going to really cripple their damage output.
You ready for me to pop into POV here, Kiwi?
Yes.
As we get this match underway?
Yep. They are currently stealthed. Looks like we're getting a double stealth going.
Yeah, just trying to extend that out as long as possible. WAW really backed into a corner here. They don't have a lot of places left to go. They're going to have to engage here at some point.
Yeah.
Opening up on a Scourge first as a focus target. But
WAW already used their Untamed burst as well, so they're kind of in a back foot position right now.
Re-blasting stealth there, it looked like, just to go for a second engage, since the first one wasn't quite to plan.
Revealed.
Still trying to get that Scourge. That's a beautiful leap in, and here's a bit of damage application going down now. But with that elite off cooldown, are they gonna be able to generate enough of it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. They're really tanky, though. I'm actually pretty surprised.
They're struggling to keep the condies off on Clash, though, which
Yeah.
is tough. They're going to have to figure out how to work around that.
Ooh. Oh,
It's
there's
in the
down.
down state.
Oh.
Massive banner.
The second Scourge going to downstate, Untamed into downstate. That looks like that will be round 1 going to RC and Q. For red team. So Haavok, I feel like that was a match that kind of played out the way you were talking about at the start, where these are either, 45-second matches or they're 3-minute matches, depending on whether you missed that initial burst window or not. And it looks like even though WAW is able to kind of stay away from that initial burst, the second time the cooldowns lined up, it didn't quite go that way.
And they weren't able to do anything in response. Like they created a really good opportunity for them to hit in there when the other team's DPS CDs were off, and it looked to me like they didn't engage quite as quickly as they ought to have after dodging that initial burst, and so it gave time for the other was it RCQ to get their burst back on off cooldown.
Yeah, you've got that really narrow window to try and capitalize on when those cooldowns are, when they're kind of, shields down after their initial burst, and you've really got to get some momentum before everything comes back up. So it looks like they're handling that fairly well. Let's see what they're able to do in this round.
They really have to not miss that initial burst from the Untamed. They did last time as well, which is why they had to back off so hard.
Queen stealth round so far. Tons of distance between these two. They're just going to be able to walk into each other here. No further stealth blasts going off. It's as clean an opener as you could hope for.
Yeah.
Are they able to generate anything from it? Currently doesn't look
good
like
kite out of the Scourge.
Yeah.
They probably had to bait out the breach right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Now they're able to apply a good bit of pressure to that Scourge. Looks like he's staying healthy for the most part,
He was able to get back. Yep. Spellbreaker's suffering on RCQ's side.
Yep.
Yes, they are.
Target swapping over to him. Some gaps in stability.
Oh, they got it down.
Off. And they're getting really strung out now at this point. RCQ's got people all over the field. He did not get that hand res off. He got him to maybe 95%, but didn't actually manage to get him up.
No.
But this is they're scattered to the 4 wins here. WAW's done a great job of pressuring them and just not letting them stack up and get healthy.
They're at least kiting together now. See what they can do.
Yeah, going in on offense here, but RCNQ is down 1 player at this point, so this is a 4v5. They're going to be missing that bit of pressure.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard comeback. Especially with Scourge CDs coming back.
I'm surprised that WAW is not hard pressuring the Vert more. But the Druid is a good target also. Oh.
And that should be round right there.
Yep.
That's one of the things you have to watch really hard on 5s is placement. We saw that kind of a masterclass there. Kiting together is absolutely crucial, but if you kite together too closely, then you eat too much AoE, which is what happened there at the very end. But when you get strung out, well, then your people can't, it's I think more crucial perhaps than in larger GVGs.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to get strung out in 5s.
Yeah.
Because there's nowhere to hide.
And at the start there, it did look like RCNQ did a great job of it. You saw the counter pressure from WAW come out, and RCNQ correctly identified, like, hey, we can't stand in those breaches. We just got to kite for a little bit. But it seemed like it all started to crumble when they didn't manage to get that downstate res. And you could feel the stability getting low because you saw the CCs and the interrupts and the knockbacks going off. And once you can't guarantee that your character is going to go where you want it to go because you don't have that stability, it's really hard to maintain the stack.
I wonder what happened to their banner if they aren't running it, because I expected them to just use banner on the down
Wasn't it the
to res.
Spellbreaker?
Mm-hmm.
The Spellbreaker.
Oh, Spellbreaker went down.
died.
Oh, that's
Spellbreaker
rough.
was first
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
It's an
He got
interesting
caught.
incentive
I
to
don't-
focus the
yeah, he
Spellbreaker
got-
then. Because
Yeah,
it's
true.
difficult to banner yourself.
Actually, yeah.
Opening up on
Yeah.
Untamed here.
The windows. Yeah. He's revealed.
Untamed pops Stone Signet. He
Yeah.
doesn't have much defenses after that.
But also saving his elite, maybe for a second burst. He's going to need to live here. There's the elite going off, but they're getting hard pressured right now. It's going to be difficult to capitalize on any damage out of that.
Untamed on the enemy side could die here.
Yep, down to 50.
Stone Signet.
This is going to be the pull off, the
Doing
regroup.
it good.
Both groups have kind of
Nice, quick
their
stealth.
bomb.
Some
but-
stealth. Yeah.
WAW just has better
That
pressure.
was very
here.
good stuff.
Yeah,
Much
they're just
better
keeping
able
him
to
on the
be
back
sure.
foot here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, just
And down.
literally
Actually
pushing them
close.
across the arena. And here you have to get back up on stack, you have to get healthy, and you've got to find your cooldowns to push back in again. They've done a great job of regrouping here, managing to get everybody back together.
They did have to use banner
Yeah.
already, so they're going to be in a pretty tough spot once they get it down.
Yeah, cooldown's still fairly low here for both sides. Let's see if they're able to make anything out of this opportunity.
Druid's looking pretty low.
Yeah, Druid looking low, but working on
Ooh,
that Scourge. That is
and there's
yeah.
down. That's really tough.
And when you lose your Untamed in a comp like the one that they're running, it's most of your damage.
Yeah, it's really hard to deal
They
with.
do have the Vert as well, but and you
I
can
mean, the
also,
Untamed could barely even DPS that fight, honestly. They had so much pressure on him.
exactly what I was going to say. When you're looking at that arc DPS meter, their Untamed spent so much time just fighting for his life that he was never really able to get effective damage down.
Yeah, true.
And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the strengths
Yep.
that WAW
so
is
the-
able to
yeah.
extract from their Scourge right now, or their double Scourges. Is Scourge generates a lot of
Yep.
pressure just from weapon skills.
Yeah.
You're not really beholden to big cooldowns. You can just rotate through your weapons every 10 seconds, and you generate a pretty significant amount of pressure.
True.
But as WAW moving to 2-1 over RCNQ. By far the closest
Look
matches that we've
pretty-
seen so far in this tournament. But
Yeah, honestly.
they still need to
I'm a
find
bit
one more win
surprised,
here to
though.
secure it.
Yeah.
They won, like, RC won the first fight so hard that I'm pretty surprised with the comeback from WAW.
Well, there's always a period of adjustment when you're going through these rounds. And you have a little bit of time when you're doing best of 3, but when you get to best of 5 and best of 7, you can really get into the idea of counterplaying against what your opponent is doing.
For
You know,
sure.
you can identify their strategy and you can figure out how to cut back against that strategy. And it's sort of this back and forth of, all right, we need to adjust to what they did last round in this next round because we've got a little bit of time to workshop it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious to see what they're going to do to try to solve the problem of getting, like, pressured like this. They kind of have to just bait out as much of the CDs as they can on the initial push and then turn, I think. Because they
Yeah.
can't, like, just keep running. Otherwise, they just aren't going to get a kill.
And a lot of that probably comes down to maybe faking an opener. You know, keep all
Yeah.
your big stuff on cooldown, make it look scary, but don't actually commit any big skills to it. Because we've seen that as soon as RCNQ starts to kite, WAW pressures hard. And really just moves RCNQ around the arena because they can't stop and plant their feet. But you could maybe get WAW to overextend into something if they think that's going to be a free bomb.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe even also baiting who they're going to focus as well. Because they've been focusing the Untamed pretty hard. They could probably make a fast turn on one of the supports, but they got to get pretty lucky too.
Yeah, let's see what the strategy is here for them. This is potentially a match-deciding round, so let's see if WAW is able to secure it or whether we're going to move to a tiebreaker here. A lot of distance between these two groups for a stealth. Let's see if they go for a redo here. Oh, looks like they're just going to engage off of that.
Focusing the Scourge again, by the looks of it.
Mm-hmm.
Swapped off with the Untamed.
Yep. So we've seen this play out before. This is where WAW thinks they can pressure, and they are getting a ton of pressure off on
Really
that
well.
Untamed. But managing to live
That
through it
is
so
most
far.
of the Untamed burst, though, that they managed to live through. So
Mm-hmm.
they have a little bit of breathing room now. But it's happening again that they're getting kited out really hard.
Yeah. And you can see the WAW overextends a bit. So if you can turn on them and you can apply some of that pressure while they're strung out, it does give
Ooh,
them an
down.
opportunity. They do have an Untamed down. Let's see
They
if
missed the
can
banner,
convert
though.
this.
Got a blind on it. Unlucky.
Yeah, back up, but still taking a lot of pressure here and back into down state.
again.
That's going to be very
And another
difficult to
down.
recover from. And that looks like that should be RCNQ moving to 2 and 2.
Super impressive, honestly.
Yeah, that the turn when WAW thought they could just pressure them across the arena, and the fact that they were able to apply pressure at that point is really what turned that one around for them, I think.
WAW even got a blind off of the banner as well to make it miss, but they managed to get the down again anyway and turn it from there.
Yeah. So this is going to be a really interesting round. RCNQ came out, won their first round. WAW adjusted very well, managed to take round 2 and 3. And now RCNQ has showed them, hey, that strategy you used for the last 2 rounds, that's not going to work again. We figured that out. So
I'm
it's a
curious
question
what they
of
do to
whether-
mix it up.
Yeah, is WAW just going to play to the same strengths that they used for the last 2 rounds and just try and execute a little bit better? Or are they going to try another different mix-up entirely and see if RCNQ can adjust to that?
They could try going for the Kata.
They
Kata
also-
hasn't been focused.
You can't see this on your end, I don't think, but they have a Karka toughness station down on WAW side. So it looks like they might just be trying to go even bulkier. I'm not sure if that was the utility they were running initially, but that's what they've switched to.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're all
Going for
running
a little
Karka
bit more
toughness now
durability.
at this point. Well, 2 of them I clicked on. It
Yeah.
looks like all 5 of them are now running Karka toughness.
Generally, in my opinion, that's probably the best one that you can run right now.
I
Just the
would
extra toughness
100%
is so
agree with that.
important. It's just so much
RCQ is
value.
also running the toughness.
Yep.
Yeah.
RCQ is also running toughness. Yeah.
Especially when you only have 2 Minstrel classes available, like the extra toughness goes a big way.
All right, so this is a match deciding round here. Let's see who manages to take it. That's a cleaner stealth opener than we've seen so far.
Yeah, pretty nice. It's like they're focusing the Untamed again.
Yep. Overall, health level's doing really well though on RCNQ side. Not a ton of pressure right now, and this is the phase where WAW should be pressuring them.
Yeah.
This is WAW pulling off now, getting separation.
They might be trying to do what they did to RC here.
Yeah, turn and
Well, a
bait
ton
with
of
this, right?
pressure.
That Untamed's getting low though. They're going to need to turn right now if they want to do it at all.
He was forced to pop Stone Sig, so he has nothing left anymore if they go for a
He
burst
got
again.
separated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got badly separated there. Oh, he made it out.
Separation
though.
again. Everybody just getting cooldowns back again.
He won't have Stone Sig though, but the RC's Untamed does, so it's kind of really tough situation to be in right now.
That's a breach going down for WAW, it looks like.
Yeah, they're still kiting out of it.
Yeah, managed to kite out of that very well. So that's mostly a wasted breach. We probably won't see that again this fight.
Probably
unless it's
gonna
very
see
long.
it down here.
There goes the Kata.
Yep,
There's
here's
the
a
Kata.
big
there it
opener on
is.
the Kata. Successful
Instant
banner on
banner.
the Kata. That should be about, the second down, third down. That should
Yep.
be about
Yep.
that.
That is a GG.
So RCNQ cleaning things up when it counts. Securing that third round win and securing that match
Very
win
close,
overall,
though.
but a really well played match from both of them.
Yeah, very impressive.
That Virtuoso, I've seen Virtuoso swapped out because they got hard focused, but WAW wasn't focusing the Virtuosos. What you had was it was not working in the burst rotation, as far as I could tell.
Yeah. That is RCNQ 3-2 over WAW. And at this point, we are into
believe
the
it's-
semifinal rounds.
Yeah, WTF against Ka, right?
and then RCNQ playing the loser of that match, it looks like. So winner of this match will be going to the finals, and loser will be given one more shot against WAW, who is playing very well right now. Did you let me know and you've got your POV ready?
Yeah, it's good to go.
I do know that quality is not the best, but we're limited by what we can get out of Discord, unfortunately.
Yep. But it is nice being able to see the player POV this time comparative to the NA tournament.
Yes.
That, I agree with that.
I don't know about you, but for me, this is a second tournament where I've been in charge of the technical elements of broadcasting, and I am not great at it yet, but if we can improve on every single one, eventually I'll get there. So I appreciate the patience, the generosity, and the understanding of the viewers, and hopefully our biting commentary and charming wit makes up for it as we enter the stealth round here. Let's see what the plan is here.
No reveals, unfortunately.
Nothing
Looks
at
like
all.
they're
It's
swapping
just
rotations.
a naturally ending stealth.
Looks like they're going for a re-stealth here. Yep.
Second naturally ending stealth. There can't be that many sources of stealth left here. Yeah, and here we go right into the engage. Looks like a spellbreaker is being opened on here initially.
Yeah.
Sustaining it fairly well, though.
Cause Scourge getting pretty low.
Hello, Chomp Raider.
Well, there's the Boon Rip. No stab on Cause Scourge right now.
Yeah, that's gonna be a problem for them. This is not our frame drops, I swear. This is there's a lot of things going on from the POV that we have access to, but look at the amount of condis that are able to be generated on that squad right now. And they're just not being cleared fast enough. Looks like a Scourge approaching downstate.
Back at you.
Managing to get back up.
Man, that Tempest's health gone in like 3 frames.
Right. Which is, probably like, oh, here we go, we're back. Okay.
Yeah, nice. There we go. Okay.
Obviously, tactical FPS drops there so that we don't have access to the burst rotation itself going on.
Looks like WTF going to be taking the first win there.
Why is God commentating? Kiwi streams from a rocket silo, apparently. As far as I can tell.
Yeah, I'm actively in outer space right now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, also, now that round is done, hello, Chomp Raiders, welcome. Thank you for the raid. We are streaming the EU 5v5 tournament here on Twitch TV /Sheff Plays Games, and also Twitch TV /Digi_Kiwi, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Professional streamer, knowing his collaborators. We have KA here as the red team. And was that KA that went up 1-0, or was that
WTF.
That was WTF, up
WTF.
1-0 right now.
Yeah, there's a ton of damage and Boon Rip from the Scourge, that last fight.
Yeah. And yeah,
Also insane cleanses from that Druid.
That's Haavok's child providing commentary on the frames that we have access to here.
I'm reading that right. That Druid got 350 cleanses that last fight. Actually insane.
If they're in our spawn, just chill. We'll be fine. Yep.
If Discord comms coming through? Can you mute Discord?
Oh,
5 seconds.
yeah. Alright, I am deafened on Discord.
Okay.
But,
There we go. Perfect.
alright.
Opening up the stealth here again. I mean, you could see it in the middle of that fight, and for as much
That was
work
my
as the
bad.
druid was putting in, it still
there's
wasn't
one.
enough cleanses.
Go, go, go. Yep.
They have a late entry to the team here. They have 6 people on the field. No, oh, this is a this poor berserker. This poor
Oh
DBK
no.
berserker. This is a recruit. I don't know if you can see it from your perspective, but I think he's unfamiliar with the etiquette of EOTM. Looks
Oh
like they're
no.
just gonna fight on the other side of the arena here. And
Yeah.
he's mostly got he's just going for the food. He's going for the banner. He's having the time of his life in the middle of this match. Yeah, and
Oh
now he's
no.
engaging. They probably want to go
They're
ahead
probably
and
gonna have to
cancel this
they're gonna
round.
yeah. Unfortunate timing.
Also, do we have access to a POV on the other side to maybe get around some of the frame issues?
Yeah, I can take a look.
Cool. I'll go back to wide angle. We'll take a look at where did this berserker go? Where is he? There's an invader in the arena now. It's chaos down here. The pitch is being invaded. We're gonna have to sit down and have a serious conversation about the rules of engagement in EOTM during tournaments with this
Alright, looks like we got a perspective from Ka here now.
who just became very excited by what he was seeing, and who couldn't, honestly. We do have a runner. I didn't have a chance to see if he had armor on or not. I don't know if that was a streaker or whether that was just a man invading the pitch, but I think we're cleaned up on it for now. All right, let's go check out this KA perspective and see if there are more frames available. I see people in downstate, but I have to imagine that round would not have counted.
Yeah, I highly doubt that they're going to count that round. I would be very surprised if they did.
TM is crazy. It's such a funny idea, though. All right. So we are now on KA's perspective. Let's see what...
Curious to see what they're going to do different this round.
Yeah, let's see what kind of comp blues are. Scourge, Druid, Double Scourge. I think that's the same Druid I clicked on before. Spellbreaker, Scourge, Druid, Chrono, Scourge. So Double Scourge, single Spellbreaker, Chrono for stab, Druid for heals, it looks like.
Yeah, versus Cause running Untamed, Double Scourge, Tempest, and Chronomancer.
So differences being a Tempest instead of a Druid, probably for cleanses, and then an Untamed instead of a Spellbreaker. Really similar functions between those. The Untamed is still going to do a lot of burst damage, still going to do a lot of boon removal. Tempest, obviously, still going to do a lot of cleanses, do a lot of heals. You're losing out a little bit on res utility, I guess, from not having Spirit available for Druid, but Tempest does have those really nice flexible glyphs in order to get different kinds of res effects off. And I suppose you don't need a 10-target Elite Spirit when you're only playing with 5 people in the first place. So
True. And they're also running, or at least a couple times, we've seen them running on my mark, or Sikkim, sorry, on the Untamed to get away with the reveal that Warrior normally provides as well.
Right.
Yep.
This is going to be a naturally expiring stealth. Likely into a re-stealth. Let's see if anybody gets an early Sikkim off, though. Blasting bone
Doesn't look
minions
like
for
it.
stealth here. The rare in-combat bone minion swap for additional stealth.
Very clean.
Yep.
And then opening up on Druid. Lots of
Druid
interrupts
is
going off early.
revealed.
Maybe a stab
Massive.
gap there they're exploiting. Not a ton of pressure going out on KA's side here. Their party looks mostly fine.
Tons and tons
Druid
of
got a good
damage
stealth.
going out.
Mm-hmm.
Druid got a good stealth into their smoke field with sword, but they're struggling now.
They're doing okay
maybe
on
they're up
health.
again.
I don't think they're taking a ton of damage
Yep.
now, but this is
Yep.
likely KA just waiting until their cooldowns line up again. We're pretty deep into the fight. That's a lot of pressure.
KA getting
going
pretty
on KA
low.
now. Still getting interrupts, though. That
Druid is
Druid
suffering.
dangerously
Oh,
close
that
to downstate.
Tempest.
Druid into downstate. But KA not entirely
They got him
safe
back
here
up,
either. Their
though.
Tempest is very low. It looks
You
like they
sacrifice a lot not to have
Tempest
that.
probably goes down here. Yep.
yeah, it looks like they might
The
be able to
banner
put out
stomp.
enough pressure though.
Battle standard used on Tempest.
That's going to be a
down.
big problem for them now. They do
I don't
manage to
think
get
they
the
can
res
get
up
this
again, but
res.
there's so much damage coming
Oh,
out now
there's
that
three,
that is
four.
not going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
That is all 5 of them into downstate at the same time.
And that is 2 points for WTF, I
Yeah.
believe.
So KA doing well there, but just buckling under the pressure, the sustained damage being put out.
Yeah. Really hard to deal with.
I think that's probably what you're going to see. The biggest issue with not bringing a warrior is
Yeah.
right there,
Mm-hmm.
because they were reduced to trying to cleave or hand finish that guy, and they couldn't beat the banner.
Yeah. Well, then, Battle Standard is able to do such a good job of playing that dual role of it can get your allies up if you need it, or it can finish enemies if you need it, and you're able to precast it, so you really don't have any of the delay issues that are normally associated with a cast that's that long.
Even if you don't precast it, as long as you have quickness, it's super fast. So, like, it's really hard to avoid. The only way you can really get around it is with, like, a blind, and even then, if they've got resistance or something, it's so hard.
You also can stealth the down player because banners do
True.
not finish people in stealth.
Yeah.
Which is also why they run Sikkim on the Ranger as another bonus.
So
Right.
reveal-
Just to
Yep.
disrupt that even further. So these are relatively small comp changes and relatively small differences in execution, leading to an early 2-0 lead. But
Yeah.
I think these rounds are closer than the current scoreboard would suggest. So we'll see if KA is able to pull anything out here.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen it before in the last one, going from 2-0 to flip pretty 50-50, so.
Yeah. Nasirin in chat says, I wonder if they'll use Glyph in Fire for just the self-res, which I could see. It is definitely better at 5v5 scale than it is at like 15v15. Normally,
True.
when you're playing open field, you want probably a Glyph of Air to get it down back to your feet, or you want Glyph of Earth for the multi-target. But Glyph of Fire is resurrect your target, and then also if you go down, you give yourself a cheat death, I believe. It heals
Yes.
you instead of having you go into downstate. So
You'll still go into downstate, but you'll be rezzed afterwards.
okay, so you self-res yourself, and where
Yep.
you're really looking to control the downstate game as much as you can in these rounds. That could wind up being something that makes the difference, and that's part of the flexibility that a Tempest provides.
I'd say the best 3 they can do are probably air, water, and fire. Fire's more situational, in my opinion. But water and air are probably the best ones, just because full healing someone's super valuable.
Right.
But air is also really good, just because getting them out of the burst area is a pretty big deal as well. So.
Yeah. So I suppose it depends on where you're stacked currently. If you're trying to go
Yeah,
in melee
exactly.
against somebody who goes downstate, air isn't really going to do that much for you. It's not going to move.
For sure.
I'll head back into your POV here as we get stealth underway for what could be the match-deciding round here.
Very late stealth.
Super late stealth. He's
Very
basically
late
going to know
stealth.
right where they are, and they're out already. Getting early damage down, it's going to be really hard for them to re-stealth here.
Yeah, I almost wonder if they messed up their stealth there.
It looks like it.
Oh, Spellbreaker. Spellbreaker, heavy pressure there.
Yep, getting
Ooh, nice
a
re-stealth.
target break there for stealth, though.
Yeah, good detargeting. Yeah. They're sticking with the Spellbreaker.
KA starting to take a bit of pressure here and not really seeing any outgoing heals go off here. That chrono has been 75% for about 5 seconds. Looks like they're finally getting topped up now, but...
Ooh, cause Spellbreaker going to half. It's pretty close.
The Druid is getting murdered.
Yeah, Druid heavy focus here. Druid about to go into
Druid
downstate.
down.
Druid in downstate. Let's see if they're
Banner
able to
here,
recover
maybe?
it. They are able to
Nice.
recover it, but that's chrono into downstate now, and Spellbreaker at 50. They're not going to be able to protect that res.
Yeah.
And that is going to be KA
Cascade.
moving to 1 and 2, so beginning that climb back up.
They switched their Tempest to a Catalyst.
Oh, did they? I
Yeah.
didn't notice that.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, you're right.
They did. Which
A
is
lot
interesting.
more
You're losing
AoEs.
out on- Yeah, you're losing out on general like. Oh, they also took a spellbreaker. They swapped one of their scourges
Yeah,
for a
they did.
spellbreaker.
Okay. Yeah, I had completely failed
Looks-
to recheck the comp, but you're right.
It looks like the spellbreaker is running some sort of support. I mean, he's 50% of the DPS of the scourge and untamed. So
My
he's
guess is he's
covering-
running the might shout probably.
Yeah,
Might
running-
shout maybe
it looks
with
like
something
he's
like
covering
staff for the heal on F1.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not the heal on F1. It looks like he's only at about 18,000 healing. Well, maybe that is good enough for the
Yeah,
the
so he's
spellbreaker
got to
F1.
be some sort of yeah. So he's in that boon support slot. Generally,
Yeah.
I think of these things as primarily you've got stab support, you've got heal support, and then you've got some sort of boon support.
Mhm.
At least that's what was the winning teams ran in the NA tourney, and then you get 2 DPS, and that it seems like is what they're shifting to here.
Right.
It's like getting ready for stealth here.
I do wonder what weapon that spellbreaker is running. Again,
I
a
know.
different scale because I'm playing warrior in like 25s and commanding on them, but I've been really, really impressed with staff as a weapon. I don't think it quite pushes spellbreaker into being a viable support for larger groups, but it's a really, really flexible profession at smaller scales with the amount of different roles that it's able to fulfill between boon support, healing,
Yeah.
damage, boon removal. There's
Yep.
a lot of different things that you can have that spellbreaker do.
It looks like Blue may have done some comp swap there.
I'll go
That's
over and
all that.
investigate. Let me go take a look. I see Untamed. I see Scourge. I see Chrono. I think the same Scourge.
Cat on
They
their
know
side
I'm
as
trying to
well.
inspect them, and that's into stealth. So we'll find out from the match itself. This is
Yeah.
still a deciding round for WTF if they can just close out, but I think KA has figured out their strategy here, and we'll see if they're able to execute on it successfully.
Ooh, early revealed.
Early reveal, but a long ways away. Looks like they're not going to quite be able to engage on that.
Very stealth.
Had enough.
Into a re-stealth.
Lots of stealth going off. You're just looking for a target to open up on. Looking for that druid, I would imagine. Settling on a spellbreaker instead, maybe. Settling on an untamed now. But here comes the
Untamed's
melee
pretty good
push.
Couldn't find the
Oh,
druid.
re-stealthed. Yeah. Ooh, we're getting
Spellbreaker
real low
very low
here.
on WTF side. But Spellbreaker and Catalyst not looking healthy for KA. Spellbreaker downstate. Back up.
Oh, that's fast. Yeah,
Second
downs.
downstate here. Third downstate here.
Oh my goodness.
So hard to recover from this.
WTF just applying too much pressure all at once for KA to figure out a way to effectively fight back from that, it looks like. And that is going to be WTF moving to 3-1. Putting them into finals?
That's
Question mark?
one
Where's my bracket?
difficulty with Catalyst support is that you don't
I
you
believe
lack
so.
very many massive heals, and so once the pressure gets too much, it's very hard to actually resustain. You have to kite out.
Yeah. So that will be
But
WTF
it did
moving
look-
into the finals and KA playing RCNQ in the third round of the losers bracket. So KA's got one more shot here to beat RCNQ, but even if they manage to do so, they're going to have to figure out how to beat that WTF team in the finals.
Yeah.
Did WTF switch to the Catalyst only on the last?
I believe so, yes.
Earlier. Okay.
I believe they swapped to Kata to counter their Kata when they swapped after that one round.
Yeah, so
That's
just
another
mixing
thing that
things
is
up.
very strong at the smaller scale is elementalist bubbles, auras.
Yeah,
Because
shock
they're
aura.
non-strippable because their effects are so powerful. Plus, the resistance off of Kata is pretty good for dealing with these scourges as well.
For sure.
Yeah. You don't really have to worry too much about Conde Cleanse if you're able to negate a handful of Condes entirely by keeping your resistance uptime high. But then Chrono should be able to do that fairly
Because-
well with mental defense as well. Although I guess you take it at the expense of restorative illusion, so it hurts your heal off of clones. I think is how that trait line works. I
It-
can't exactly
it-
remember.
I think so. I also think that it's the cooldowns that trigger it are fairly long, and so
Mental
if it
defense
gets
is off of
stripped,
distort, which is like 90 seconds, but you can CS
Yeah.
your
Oh,
distort,
yeah.
and then you can
Yeah.
Signet of Illusions your distort back. So you can cast it a couple times. Plus, I think you've got resistance on Rifle 5. If Rifle is the weapon you still want to be running at small scale.
Yeah, you definitely want to run rifle. It has a huge amount of kite capability as well with the rifle 5 to get people out.
Yep.
Yeah, with the single
And
target
just
portal.
tons of healing too. Yeah.
All right, who you
As
got
well
for,
as,
who you got
however,
for POV on
because-
this one? QE, you want to go with
Ka
KA
currently.
again, or do you want to go with RC and Q?
We could go either. I currently have Ka up still, but we could swap if you like.
It's okay. I'll leave it up to you. You're the one controlling the POVs today, so
I'll swap to the other one after this round.
that sounds good to me. Go take a look and see if we have any comp changes coming up. Also, so
one
I can update
difficulty
team
also
names.
with resistance on the
AA is red team again, but this time blue team is going to be RC and Q. Let's get those match scores back to 0-0
Yes.
as we enter stealth for our first round of the losers play-in for the finals bracket.
Nice re-stealth.
Re-stealth, but they're danger close here. It's going to be a lot of pressure coming down immediately. AA getting a little
Kata
split
got
there
out
at the
of
start,
position
managing
early.
to get back together, but these are the kind of situations that are hard
Spellbreaker's
to
still
fight back
low.
from.
Ooh, nice recover though.
Like you were saying, that cat
The
has to put a
Untamed
lot
got
of
too
work in to get
aggressive.
people healthy.
Yeah. Really good stealth from that Untamed.
Mm-hmm.
De-aggroing himself.
A lot of
Spellbreaker
pressure
getting
going
pretty
out on
low.
Spellbreaker. Yeah, getting him to 50. He's not really recovering that fast either. Mostly getting topped off there.
Down.
Down on
Ooh.
KA side. 2 downs on KA side. Full conversion on KA side. So we're looking at a 4v5 now. That
Battle
Untamed is
standard.
getting perilously low. Kata's downstate. That is looking like a GG. RC and Q going up 1-0 early rounds here. Switch over to RC and Q side, and we'll see how
had
things are looking from their end.
two players.
All right, got it up.
RC and Q had two players get out of position there early, but KA wasn't able to capitalize on it. Both the Catalyst and the Untamed at different times,
Mhm.
but they weren't able to lock them down separate from the supports.
But
That was
it looked
a
like KA
point
got a
to
little
RC,
scattered
no?
themselves there.
At the very beginning, I think,
Yeah.
especially.
It was a really aggressive opener from both
It's-
of them. So RC and Q here running Catalyst, Untamed, Spellbreaker, Spellbreaker, Chrono.
Double
No scourges
Spellbreaker.
whatsoever. A double banner.
They have a lot of might up time and a lot of boon rip on this
Mhm.
comp. With Untamed, they have shocking auras. They've got the double spellbreakers, probably both running the boon rip trait line, so really
Yeah, I
hard
would
to
have
keep
to
boons
imagine.
up.
At any point in a 5v5 like this, is it worth taking Dome on Spellbreaker to pretend to be like a worse breach, or do you just always want Battle Standard for the flexibility?
I think you need one for sure.
Oh,
Just,
no
like,
question, you
if
need
you-
one. I'm just wondering
If you're
you
running
have
two, though, I mean, I could see a situation where you do run bubble.
I don't
it's
think we've seen
just-
anybody do it yet. I was just wondering.
Yeah, it's like I think you probably would want to have it on the DPS just so that they don't have to focus on the battle standard at all, and they aren't gonna have as much stab up time either as the support probably.
Yeah, this
So-
is looking like a round redo here. It looked like there was a stealth phase and then a call to cancel it. So
Yeah.
We're going to be waiting a little longer before we get this next one underway. Timer looks like 2:30 according to chat.
Yep. Looks like they have plans to start on that kata.
Mm-hmm. Let's see how fast they can recapture that kata after they come out of stealth here.
Yeah. They are running the Sikkim on this Untamed, so can
Mhm.
possibly catch them out during the second stealth phase.
Yeah,
if they
looking
go it.
for any gap between their stealth and re-stealth to take advantage. This is going to be their
Very hard to do
opportunity
it.
to do it. No Sikkim going off. It looks like there's... Oh, no, there's a Sikkim going off. And then they're just going to engage on that catalyst. That catalyst is insanely separated right now.
Yeah.
Not really able to capitalize on it, though.
Looks like burst coming in from the Untamed here,
Yep.
maybe.
Still getting good pressure in on him. Not able to fully recover health, but instead just pressuring themselves as RCNQ loses somebody to downstate here. Let's see if they can get that up. They
Nice
do.
banner.
That was a Spellbreaker. That might have been a banner gone to get that back up.
Yeah, it was.
Still taking a lot of
They
pressure.
might have
Their
one left
chrono's
still.
low, but it's really just looks like a question of who can out-pressure the other group right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty close, honestly.
RCNQ Kata looks like target right now.
Ooh, another
RCNQ
down.
Kata into
See
down.
if they have
They're gonna
another
to
banner.
protect that.
They do.
Yep.
Double banner.
But there's no question you keep focusing Kata here. It's going to be really difficult for them to recover. That's a ton of incoming damage on them, and every time they go down, it's going to be harder. That should be KA.
That's 2 downs.
1-1 there.
Yep. That's going to be a point for Ka.
Is it KA or is it Ka? I probably should have asked.
I'm not sure. I just assumed it was Ka, but
I always just read the letters. I'll have to clarify that with Mies afterwards.
really good performance coming out from Ka, though. Really, really strong burst trades.
Mm-hmm. It feels like in this match, and also the match previously, we'll see the case of both players kind of getting low, looking like they're being threatened with downstate, and rather than kind of pulling off and trying to regroup, it's just, I'm going to pressure the other group even harder, because if they have to focus on living, they're not going to be able to think about converting, our own low players into downs. Really like a counterpunch strategy being employed here, it feels like.
Yeah, especially when they're both running the Catalyst. Although it looks like we made a swap to a Tempest this time, coming out from RC.
So previously, if you saw the Tempest swap into Kata, RCNQ choosing to do the opposite here, swap a Catalyst into a Tempest, maybe just looking for a little better sustain.
Yeah.
Because the, what is that Grandmaster trade in Kata? The one's just like 15% more healing. That's probably the one I'd imagine they're looking at.
Yeah, they're going to probably have a lot more auras as well with the Chrono. Oh, no, yeah, Chrono support being in, Chaos auras on allies from sharing as well.
It's a pretty long distance stealth opener here. Looking for Sikkim to go off before a potential second stealth phase. Not happening yet.
Didn't get it.
Although it looks like that was a bit of a messy stealth in the first
quite
place.
a few cooldowns.
Yeah. Ooh, big AoE burst going out on them here.
Yeah, but this Untamed still has most of their stuff.
Condi bomb. Untamed is out of position. Nope.
He's pretty badly separated there. That's Stone Signet going out. That's Elite going out.
He's blown everything.
So pressured here.
This is where you counter pressure. This is where you have to inflict damage yourself to get them to leave you alone a bit.
Yeah.
Tempest about to go down, though. Yeah, there it is. They need a banner out. There it is.
Yep, there's the res.
They still have one more banner, so...
This Untamed so isolated, just not really able to do anything while he tries to get back to tag.
Yeah, really tough. Ooh, massive burst coming out on that Untamed.
Burst on the Untamed. He's so separated out there. That should be
second banner. Second banner misses. Second banner misses.
Oh, no.
Still in downstate though.
Looks like they might. Oh, they got res. There it is.
That's a
Oh, they
lot
got
of
a lot
damage
of
going on in
AoE.
that spot, though. If you're KA, you need to leave. There's a lot of damage going out from
Oh,
RC and Q right now.
down on RC side. Looks like they got the res though.
So much damage pressure going out here. Maybe looking for a bit of a regroup. That Untamed Elite is up very soon.
Here comes the burst.
They're not
Massive
letting them get
damage.
the
Yep,
cooldowns
that
back
Untamed
out.
down
There it is.
again. A
Another
successful
res.
hand res there, maybe?
Yeah,
That's
hand
correct,
res
but
or
they
glyph.
sacrificed.
Still, though, there's no solution that they have to this Untamed getting pressured.
Yeah, they are running out of options for sure. It looks like they're making a turn here.
And you can look
Yeah,
at
it's a
RC
burst
and
again.
Q's party
RC.
view here. There's no damage incoming.
Yeah.
This looks like maybe a full
RCQ
regroup,
is
an opportunity
chaining-
to stack might, get cooldowns on the same page. That's a bad stab gap, though.
Looks like the turn's about to happen though.
Yeah. They should have stuff for it. We saw them take that mindful
Ooh.
regroup. They should just be able to open up now.
That spear on the warrior nuking that untamed.
That's what I was going to say. The spears between the two, the range burst is massive.
Mm-hmm.
That was good on our
side.
Spellbreaker in downstate for RC and Q now,
Oh.
though.
They don't have a banner for it this time.
Probably
Oh,
the
there it
downstate.
is.
Yep.
I don't think they're
There
going
goes
to be
the
getting that
Mesmer
res
as well.
off. Yeah, that's a nasty
Yeah.
feedback. There's no way you can recover that chrono now. And that looks like that will be GG.
Yeah, another point towards Ka.
Wow.
Amazing recovery from Ka. That was super impressive.
That,
Yeah.
That was textbook right there. That was
Yeah.
very well done.
Very much a mirror of the last round, where you see these groups kind of feeling each other out, figuring out what their strategies are, developing some counter plays, and then it just becomes a question of who can adapt faster and who can execute better.
For sure.
Let's see if there's any comp changes going on here in between these rounds.
The only comp change I think I could see happening for RC is maybe swapping out one of the spellbreakers or going back to Kata again. And like maybe filling in a Scourge.
I don't think you swap double Spellbreaker out when these rounds were going so long that you could conceivably getting double banner casts off.
True, yeah. The issue is that they like can't close out on the kill. Like they need to either get a ban. Like they missed. The only reason they lost that last round is because they missed the banner on the Ranger. The initial time he got downed, and then they were able to resustain in the corner there.
Mm-hmm.
He managed to get knocked away from the banner, which was super unlucky.
Yeah, you got to be really careful with those downstate punts. It looks like they're going right back into it. So let's see who can execute this time. KA up 2-1 on RC and Q. Potential match decider. We'll see how it goes.
Ooh, nice reveal.
Trying to reveal. Yeah. Spellbreaker got caught out, but he got back in.
Mm-hmm. Good Veil. Fighting out of that feedback, it looks like. Building a lot of separation here, but they have the opportunity to turn. Their Untamed has a lot of cooldowns left here still, and this is going to be a counter bomb here for sure.
Yeah. They definitely need to start backing out here, I think. Unless they get that down there.
KA with downs of their own here, though. 2 downs. You
Massive
need a banner
downs.
here to go off, but that's all your warriors gone. They will not be able to do it.
RC is completely wiped.
Wow.
That is quite a bit of damage that we saw come out of KA there.
Yeah, that Scourge is pumping.
I think those are time warps that we're seeing, not
Oh, the giant
feedbacks.
purple dome?
Yeah.
Okay. I could be wrong on that.
Which is actually worse because of the chill and slow applications.
And then also, if
think
you're
it's
trading
chill.
for it, that's also resistance for your allies. You can really just stand in that thing and not
Yep.
worry about emobes.
Yeah.
Back
So
over to
KA.
Ka's POV.
KA reclaiming their spot in the finals round after dropping rounds to WTF 1-3. We'll see if they've managed to learn anything in this process that they can use in this finals round. This
I'm
is
curious
a
how they're going to
rematch
deal
of
with
the semifinals
the
winners bracket.
Yeah, I'm curious how they're going to deal with the Kata that kind of took him out last time. Assuming WTF run it again.
Yeah, they could always come in with something that's just completely different.
Yep.
But KA definitely playing hot right now. And I do think there's something to be said for, being on a streak, right? KA has
Yeah.
just played back to back to back matches. This finals match is going to be the third set of rounds that they've played. WTF has been spectating the last match, but KA is warmed up. They've been playing, they've been playing, they've been playing. And I think they're
Yeah, I
probably
say
going to
let
come
them
out here,
cook.
at least initially, with a lot of momentum.
Yeah, they're performing pretty well in my opinion.
WTF maybe taking an opportunity here to ice them out a little bit. Like, oh, we just have to take a bio break before these finals. I just got to refill my drink. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Starting to play a bit of, hashtag mind games here, maybe.
even the odds a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Kaz still running that double Scourge. Untamed. Kata, Chrono built set. I don't think they've made very many changes to their comp, have they? Throughout this
They've
entire
been playing
event.
something pretty consistent the whole way through.
Yeah.
Also, thanks for the follow, by the way, everybody who has followed so far. God, there's a lot of them. Miss Marple, Funkelzon, Kira Zakir, Just a Second to Universe, Coraline, Nilsney, Sigfire, Chomp, obviously for the raid, and Goddess Space Cat as well. Make sure you check out DigiKiwi as well here, my co-caster. Digi, you can do your promo reel here, but I think you're more on the PvP side of things than the world versus world side of things. But there is quite a bit of overlap between this kind of scale of play.
Yeah, I'm currently a top 100 PvP player. Play a lot of PvP, stream a lot of tournaments, but also lots of scrims and GVGs when I get the chance. But yeah, super awesome to be here and cast with you guys.
And then also Haavok as well, to give him a shout out, even though he is not necessarily streaming per se, but here helping out with casting as well, and
Thank you
also a
very
pretty
much.
active figure in setting up, 5v5 scrims and all that kind of stuff, small scale world versus world kind of content. So for you guys who are more on the 5v5 side of things and sometimes the PvP side of things, obviously there's SPVP, you have automated tournaments, all that kind of stuff, and then you've got world versus world, which has, roaming, solo play, duo play, small scale going up to 5 to 10. There's similarities in terms of scale, like you can have you and, 4 of your friends doing stuff, but it's a separate balance environment. There's a separate set of balance principles between world versus world and PvP, and then there's also differences in terms of attribute prefixes that you have available. Where there are some PvP specific attributes, there are some world versus world specific attributes. What kind of similarities do you see in what people are playing in like a 5v5 AT versus what people are playing in a 5v5 world versus world tournament?
Honestly, Kata's pretty similar. It's a little bit different when it comes to AT/PvP stuff because you have to think about you have node objectives that people have to be able to defend on. So you end up having a lot more bunkery-esque builds. Like Harb Duelist is pretty meta right now. So it's it's a lot more like the main focus is usually like a 3v3 to 4v4 in like a mid fight, and then there's a 1v1 happening somewhere.
Right.
But you also see a lot of like the Tempest support as well. Supports are pretty even in terms of validity across World v World and PvP, in my opinion, at least. But you also see a lot more Spectre in PvP right now, which surprises me a bit. Spectre's pretty strong into Tempests just because they can never get overloads off. So I was a bit surprised actually not seeing any Spectres in the tournament.
Yeah,
But
I think they might have fallen out of favor in world versus world kind of stuff after the barrier nerf. I saw a lot
Yeah,
of
for
people
sure.
bringing them pre-barrier when barrier was still 50% of your max HP because you can get really good barrier application off with them. But ever since that's gone, I've seen people transitioning to like DPS Scourge for that kind of role instead.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because the Spectre build now is more like a hybrid Condi support build, since most of it, the value you get is out of like locking someone down anyway. So you run like the poison trap and uh, just like spam Condis on them. And since you don't need to apply as much barrier to get to the cap anymore, you don't need as much power, like healing power or anything
Yeah,
like that.
you don't need to
So,
stat for it so heavily.
You also
but
do
yeah,
other
it's
things
interesting.
with your rotation.
Yeah.
I will say that when I build comps for 5v5s or small scale, I look a lot at what people are running in the ATs on center node. So for the team fights, so the difference between SPVP's team fights and small scale or 5v5s especially is really quite minor. You just have to keep an eye out for what's competitive split, right? So
Right.
like Hammer on Rev is way more powerful in SPVP than it is in WW. And
Yeah.
so stuff that works for SPVP won't work the same in WW for this.
Kind of looking at like Spellbreaker as well. Spellbreaker is pretty bad, at least DPS Spellbreaker in PvP, but pretty good in World versus World setting.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think Chronos ever really touched spear in world versus world. It definitely hasn't for support. Support, you still want to be running, sword focus plus rifle or staff before rifle existed. Not exactly sure what DPS Vert runs in world versus world, but I don't
It
think
runs Spear.
is it.
Yeah.
It runs Spear. Yeah.
Yeah,
GS.
so
Spear,
Chrono never ran
GS.
it, but it was
I
more of
think.
like a Vert thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, GS. Yeah, you're right.
Lots and lots of burst damage and amazing boon rip.
Yeah.
Interestingly, though, Vert is not. I mean, we've seen one in this group, and I was actually.
Yeah.
I think that those fights could have ended quite a bit sooner if the Vert was targeted. Honestly,
Agreed.
They just don't have the. They don't have the health pool to handle constant pressure.
You've got like a distort and that's it, right? As far as your active defenses go. I guess you've also got like shield 5.
Yeah, you've got decent active defenses. However, if you're dead in the first 2 hits, you don't have time to hit them. So like the reaction time is incredibly small.
Yeah.
Between I'm being bursted and I need to hit distort and I don't have any health left.
And if you're running shield, then you don't have GS either. So you're kind of like
EOTM is resetting.
Oh, okay.
That's
I'm
why.
going to leave the mists and I'm going to wait for it to fire up again.
Yeah, if you're running shield sword, you're also like gutting half of your DPS because of great sword unblockables.
Yep.
Right.
So it's pretty rough. You're basically relying super hard on your shatters and spear getting value, which is pretty hard to do into these comps because there's so much AoE, right? Like you can't go in on spear. So you're stuck like just not using it.
Whereas in 15s or 20s, there's more room to, hide.
Yeah, because you're stacking with a bunch of other bodies, so you aren't going to take every hit, right? So
yeah, you've got 19 of your closest friends to get hit instead of you.
Yeah.
The other big difference then for PvP is, and again, I'm not a huge PvPer. I've played like a couple times, but I wouldn't say I'm a professional at it or anything. But the downstate control is really different as well, isn't it? Because in PvP, you kind of want to prevent somebody from respawning. You want to leave them in downstate as long as possible. Whereas for these tournaments, and because the runbacks are so much longer if you're playing an open field, you really want to clear downs off the field as soon as possible.
Yeah, for sure. Like, because if you think about it, Conquest as the main game mode is a time game, right? Because every second that you own a cap, it's taking a point towards you winning, which is 500 points. And so, in an ideal world, when you down someone, you leave them to bleed out for as long as humanly possible, so that there's less time of them on the map. Because as soon as it's like a 4v5, like, I mean, you've even seen it in these fights, right? When it's a 4v5, it's so hard to win. like
Yeah.
actually insanely hard to win. So it's super big value just to have someone like not able to be on the map. And like there are situations where you like can't do that, where you can't bleed them. Like let's say they like you're in a team fight and they have a support up. Obviously, you can't like just let them be there unless you're gonna wipe everybody. But yeah, it's very, very different from War of a World.
I'm going into the
I
Mystic
think,
Forge.
and here's my shameless plug for the 5v5 scene, but
Oh.
I think where 5v5 clicks for the PvP players, SPVP players, is if you really liked the team fights and ATs, if you really like that level of coordination, there's really nowhere else to get it in the small scale.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah.
the best place.
So, Haavok, what are the best resources for somebody to kind of get into this flavor of doing 5v5s? Any good community discords? Any good people to talk to? Obviously, talking to Leon is a good solution who's organizing the tournament, but is there kind of like a community discord or any kind of links like that for people looking to find scrims or fights or a team or anything like that?
So the up until this point, there has been a 5v5 arena Discord. Primarily, it was used for organization. That has since been rolled into the Guilds in the Mist. The one that we're watching this tourney on,
Mhm.
and so the scheduling is all taking place in there. Where you'll get what's really necessary to get in competitive. There's the learning curve is massive. You really need somebody who will take you under their wing. And when we started, that was at End XLS now. Mooch and Silas and Phoenix over in XLS End. They scrimmed us, they beat us into the ground, and then he talked to me for an hour and a half on how I could like die less next time, and that was how I learned.
Mhm.
And I would do VOD reviews with them. I have done VOD reviews with them. I've talked to about what my issues were when I would have fights with other people, and he would either generally mooch, but one of them would walk me through. Okay, this is where you need to work on your kite. This is where you need to work. Think about it in terms of this targeting, the counter pressuring.
Right.
That which you were.
I think you're breaking up a little bit, but I think we got the gist. Is the idea
Yeah.
that there's a lot of mentorship and there's a lot of like community building that goes into not just like the 5v5 scene, but world versus world in general. Is that the
Yeah.
game mode doesn't really work unless everybody's kind of bought into it and is willing to do at least a little bit to help other people improve. Because the better you can make another player, even if they're not somebody that you're necessarily playing with, the more competitive and the more fun you have, because the overall skill level of the game mode is kind of elevated. So I put a link to the Guilds of the Mist Discord in stream chat, and then inside of there is a organized fight help channel inside general. So if you're looking for resources to just kind of talk through the way that you're thinking about doing competitive play in 5v5s, or you're looking for somebody to help you do some of that kind of VOD review, those are the resources that I would probably look to first if this is the kind of tournament scene that you want to get involved in going forward. And it looks like EOTM is open again, so I'm going to be
Yes.
hopping back in there. League was a copy of HON. Say more on this. I'm not familiar with HON. I know that League
honestly-
Parentheses of Legends was a copy of Dota, but that's neither here nor there.
Classic League of Legends.
All right, so we've got KA
Hey.
ready.
Yeah. Looks like they're all gathering in the arena.
It looks like we've got WTF coming in here as well. Whose perspective would you like to run this from, Kiwi? I leave it in your capable hands. Who are you more interested in seeing here?
It's WTF versus Ka, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think WTF was having like lag spike issues. So
is that the lag group? All right.
Yep.
We'll run off of KA then.
Yeah.
I have some ideas for how to improve on that for next tournament. We'll see if we can we can get them implemented. Which for what
We also got
I think the next tournament that I'm going to be casting is the NA20s tournament, which will be on May 24th. So a little under a month from now, we're going to be back here in EOTM again, watching 20-man NA GVG guilds battle it out, which is going to be quite a different...
20v20 is so different than 5v5s.
It's even really different from 15v15.
What's like the big like comp difference between like 5v5, 15v15 for like 20v20?
The biggest one, I think, is Verts. So at 15v15, your single target focus matters a bit more, and Vert is really good at putting out damage on one very specific person and denying them boons. Whereas when you're up at the 20v20 scale, there is still a bit of single target focus, but, you know, when you spike one person in 15, they go 15v14. Oh, hold on, we're starting. I'll finish that thought later.
Oh, yep.
Let's go hop into POV here.
Stealth going in. Going to the right side of the arena this time.
Mm-hmm. Reset scores here quick as well.
Probably going to end up being a map swap. Yep. Looks like they're going for another re-stealth, but they got revealed. Lots of used cooldowns for that. And it looks like they're going to get the stealth off. Smoke scale not hidden, though.
And that's going to be a problem. That's going to give away their position very easily.
Yeah.
Going to let them follow along where their group is going, even when they're in stealth.
Really stalled out beginning of the fight here.
Both groups kind of hesitant to engage. This is looking like we're getting pretty close.
Stab ripped from that warrior. He has no stab right now.
Well's going down for their necro, so here's the spike that they want. Well of Corruption really trying to open the door on getting some boons off that enemy group so you can apply damage. Still with Breach available, though. And here for Breach use, you're really just waiting until the enemy group overextends a little too far, and then you punish them with that overpush by dropping a Breach. Like right here, I would expect a Breach to go down pretty soon as they're trying to get aggressive. And there it is. There it goes down now. So you really want them to push into it, and that Spellbreaker does. He overcommits well into that Breach, and then we see if they can get that conversion off. He's stealthed underneath. I cannot tell if they're... Ooh, that's going to be pretty bad.
Yeah,
that is pretty bad for WTF, losing a lot of people to diving into that Breach to try and save that down, and that is going to be KA going up 1-0.
Yeah.
Again, we see that kind of counterintuitive tech of targeting the Spellbreaker, who might be the tankiest person on the team because they're the one running the banner, right?
Yeah, you deny them the banner.
Turn that into a snowball. Which makes sense given the fact that Ka isn't running one.
Yep. They have so much boon corruption too. It's really hard for him to actually like play into the amount of boon rip that Ka has.
Which was
basically illegal to have stab
over to spear.
Yeah, true.
That's where that spear Spellbreaker was so strong the last time.
Yeah,
almost pulled it off.
One of the few things that I actually can be like a reasonable expert on here at this scale is, you know, the necro play and what these scourges are going to be doing in that comp. And I think there was a really good example of just how hard it is to recover when you get stuck in a breach. You know, we saw WTF overpush just a little bit too much, and their Scourge got a really nice breach down that the Warrior downed inside of, and it's so hard to recover from that because you can't go in hand res in that breach or you're going to wind up in downstate yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Looks like we got a comp swap coming out.
Yeah, you need some kind of res at that point
Ooh.
that's going to... Some kind of ranged res at that point that's going to let you recover them safely.
Yep. Yeah.
What did W2F swap to here? Looks like they've got.
It's like a Chrono swapping in. They have an Untamed. They have a Catalyst. They have a Scourge. And they have... It's just their Untamed again. What is Hypnos on? Hypnos is on Scourge. So double Scourge, Catalyst, Untamed, Chrono.
Yeah, I like that choice. Getting rid of the Spellbreaker, I think, is kind of a necessity here. It just gets focused too hard.
Mirror comp right now. They're both running the exact same thing.
Yep.
This is all going to come down to execution and who can actually play to their strengths the best.
Epi the best.
Well,
I haven't seen Epidemic in a while.
Yeah, this is Epispastic's perspective. A very, very good Necro player.
Yeah. Most of my knowledge on players is specifically like high tier NA players, so it's been pretty interesting getting to see some of these other players duel it out.
Yeah. Well, Epi also a fairly regular streamer, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go dig up his actual Twitch link and shout him out. He might actually be streaming this right now. No, he's not.
Probably.
We'll still shout him out.
Yeah, honestly, one of the best educational things you can do is watch good players play at high levels. You learn so many things, especially like SPVP wise, if you're trying to learn a class in particular. It's kind of hard to learn like how a class is playing in World v World just because a lot's going on. But like in 5v5 or in like small scale stuff, super, super beneficial to watch a high tier player play.
Yeah. Well, and that's just kind of true in general, there's only so much that you can really get about a game mode that's as complicated as World versus World, and a game that's combat system is as complicated as Guild Wars 2 from just reading about it in a written guide. It
looks like there was...
kind of have to watch it.
Looks like there was a DC on the round, so it looks like they're restarting.
It looks like they're restarting now. I don't think that means they're going to play the first round. I think we're still at 1-0.
Okay. Cool.
I think they just caught that restart very early before we even noticed they were blasting. But this is an early restart going out. Scourge Focus, an early corrosive poison cloud going out, maybe to mitigate some projectiles or spread poison. I didn't think I saw anyone in downstate there.
Gravwell was already used as well.
Okay, so a lot of big cooldowns being burned early here. But not a ton of damage going out yet.
Another Gravwell.
And again, KA just looking to sit on that Well of Corruption, sit on that Breach, wait until they have a good opportunity to drop it tactically. Here's Well of Corruption going out. Softening people up, starting to remove boons. And then just looking for a good opportunity to drop Breach on a turn. There's the Breach. Are they going to overcome
a big stab going to drop in second here?
They've kited out the Breach successfully here, so it's a lot of damage that they've mitigated coming out of that Scourge. Epi does still have his big Shroud up, which should be a decent amount of boon removal. F2 is still available for boon removal, but getting low on cooldowns here to actually apply pressure.
Yeah.
Long
stall here.
Yeah.
And now RCNQ really applying pressure at a point when KA shouldn't have much of a response. And
some big damage should come out here. Lots of Condis getting stacked up on that Untamed.
Mm-hmm.
Cleanses are really good, though.
Yeah, starting to get low out front there, though.
Ooh, massive CC.
And now at this point, KA is probably thinking, we've got Wells and Breach up in 10 seconds. Can we just stall a little bit to get our cooldowns back in sync and drop?
Yeah, definitely.
Those are going to be up very soon. And I'm sure Epi's
going to be hard.
Med in comms.
Ooh, that cat is real low.
Yeah,
cat down.
That's a lot of pressure coming out. Wow.
insane amounts of damage there.
So RCNQ applying pressure just literal seconds before KA was probably ready for a turn in terms of the cooldowns that they had available on their Necros.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
capitalizing well on timing there. If they had waited 5 more seconds for that counter push, I think they would have had some serious issues.
Wait, was that RC?
What was that?
I thought this was WTF.
RC
Oh,
were the one-
WTF, sorry.
Okay,
Changed my
okay.
red team.
Oh yeah.
I thought that I wrote the wrong one.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
Nice. Okay, yeah.
Professional streamer.
Classics.
Can also
Gotta
probably
stay
hide.
We're
other
tied up right now.
Yeah, tied up 1-1.
Really close.
Hey, the last 3 matches have all been very, very close.
Yeah.
So a really good level of competition here, and kind of accepting the final round where they're just running mirror comps. We've seen pretty decent diversity in comp style as well. You know, not everyone is running Spellbreaker.
Yeah.
People are flipping between Catalyst and Tempest.
We did see some dupes of the same class as well. I mean, we have 2 Scourges in this fight as well.
Yep, we've seen a couple of people running double Spellbreaker.
Really taking advantage of it.
And then in the finals,
it's
we're seeing none
because there are
Spellbreaker.
some classes. Well, yeah, we've seen heal Spellbreaker and DPS Spellbreaker, but that was one thing that was really hurt by the no stack class stacking or spec stacking.
Right.
Was when you had two roles that could be filled very well by the same class.
So something interesting here about both of these comps is you have Glyph on Catalyst still, but your res utility isn't amazing because you're losing Banner and you don't have a Druid. What would be the incentive here for Necros to run Corrosive Poison Cloud over something like Signet of Undeath to give them better res utilities?
It's a lot of pressure on a down target, and it also denies projectiles.
Okay.
It's also weakness. It's
Yeah.
also weakness, and so you're able to counter pressure, like say Untamed or Spellbreaker incredibly well
Yeah.
because you're able to deny crits.
And yeah, Signet of Undeath does
At that
cost
point-
you health as well.
Yeah.
All right, so tied up at 1-1. Let's see how this goes.
So looks like Scourge going to be their main target for now. Nice restill.
Free stealth again, although it looks like one of those pets might have missed it.
Scourge doesn't have many Carpus sacks right now. It's a really good time to burst him.
Yeah, good time to go in.
Yep.
And KA still with a lot of cooldowns here. Opening
they're
up with the
Untamed.
Well of Corruption there, and the Corrosive Poison Cloud,
Ooh,
and the
Untamed
Rain, really
getting real
opening the
low.
downs here.
Looks like Untamed might drop.
Yeah, they spent
It's
everything
pretty
on
low.
that, got nothing out of it, and their Untamed is very low now.
Oh, there it is. There's
And
down.
this is
Maybe
a
see a
free
res
push
signet.
for WTF now. Because KA is shields down after blowing everything on that.
Absolutely annihilated.
Yep.
Yep. Is WTF advancing to 2-1?
When you only have 5 people like this, being able to time those burst windows is so crucial. It is interesting, and I wonder to what extent it's a result of the banning of minstrels, but these fights are a lot less knockdown, drag out, like all melee, because perhaps because you cannot sustain it.
Yeah.
Right? They're having to kite a lot more.
I mean, with the Kata and double Scourges, like, there's so many AoEs on the ground. It's so hard to stand, like, in one of the teams.
Yeah. Well, and then you wonder kind of if that's just a comp switch too, you know? There was a team, I believe, in the 15s draft tourney about a month ago that ran Scourges at 15s or 20s. Oh man, I'm not remembering it now. And they actually came out pretty even. Now I'm not remembering who it was though. I can't remember if it was Warats or somebody else. Ran Condi Scourges. Sheff.
I don't know how much Minstrel would really change in these comps specifically. I'm sure that the Chrono and the Catalyst would probably like to be Minstrel. You get access to that better concentration, get access to better healing power overall, but I don't think you could afford to have the Scourges run Minstrel, and you definitely don't want the Untamed running Minstrel.
Yeah.
So it might be more just a comp question of comp.
Yeah.
Oh, good reveal there.
Yeah. Pretty strong opening on that Chrono.
Yeah, Chrono taking a lot of pressure. This is a deep Wells coming out for KA now, and a beautiful breach because they're going to be forced to fight in it.
Oh, those Condis.
Yep, it's going to be really hard to kite out of that one. And they're still just sitting here taking a lot of damage in melee. Chrono still taking a lot of pressure. A couple invones going off. That must be distortion. But now Epi also getting pressured. Their Chrono also getting pressured. It looks like they might have weathered that spike well enough.
Really nice shield coming out.
Yeah, that was perfect.
That is a handful of downstates going out for WTF. There's not great res utility in this comp either. They're just going to have to stack and try to hand res, but that is not going to work for them. WTF improving to 3-1 because this is the finals. This is a BO5, so they don't quite have this secured yet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. That was a really clean res on WTF's part. This Chrono is the right over Firebrand for the stab spot. However, you have to be really careful on how you meter your stab, particularly.
Yes.
Because if you roll those buttons, your cooldowns are quite long.
Or not even if you roll the buttons, but just if there's too much boon removal going out, which you're likely to have here, staring down Double Scourge Untamed. There's only so much stab that you can replace on Chrono until you are way behind on cooldowns.
Yeah.
So for rosters on WTF, we've got Helio, Ryan, Benny, Azza, Hypnos, and Gornit. And then for Ka, we have Epi, Lloyd, Rod, Kint, and Kill.
This is lineup, but I believe these are BO5. I'm not sure if I've missed something from Pandas. Or
well, this...
if it's BO5, they're at 3-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't come back.
That would be the... Yeah.
No, I'm a fool, and I can't count. So that is WTF taking it with just, at the end of the day, too much sustained pressure for, I think, KA to really manage to overcome there.
Yeah.
For as good as the breaches were from the Necro POV that we had, they just couldn't put down enough damage to stop WTF's pushes. We are now being requested in KA's channel for an interview, so let's pop down there.
Cool.
I will head down there now. And then one of us should probably mute desktop audio.
Yeah.
No, we shouldn't have to, actually. It's fine. I think this will be
okay.
good.
Cool.
Interview and get your thoughts on how things felt, if you enjoyed it, and what can be improved. Hello,
KA. Just as a heads up, we have scuffed audio on the stream side, so we are broadcasting desktop audio. But you are live on stream.
Yeah, it's on. I mean, it's the same as this PvP is like 3v3 and 2v2 and 8 is like it's BO5, so I mean there is not much to say. Like it's really fast. Like it's just 3 rounds and that's it.
Mhm.
So like they just had better game plan, and I mean it was county matchup, so they just cleansed more and that's it.
Mhm.
There is not much to say.
Do you feel like limiting minstrel classes made a difference in comps and planning?
I think like yeah, like the rule is fine, but if you do such rule, like there shouldn't be spec stacking, for example. Because like stacking Scourge isn't LC, stacking Spellbreaker is not LC, stacking Untamed is not LC, for example.
Mhm.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean the rule is completely fair. But at the same time, like World versus World is so power crept that like even like if you have 2 support, it can go really fast in power match. So I don't know if it's that good to go 2 supports. Maybe 3 support will be nice.
Then
as
the
well.
meta would be too tanky, no?
Yeah, maybe fine. I don't know. There
Because
is
then
not
you-
really an in between.
You play 2 res classes and it's never ending.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's certainly what
I mean,
people
then you
do
could
in
play
open
around
field
Banish
is they
Stomp,
just run
so
more
maybe.
supports.
What was that, Sheff?
I said it's certainly what they would do in open field is you just run more supports until you stop dying. So if the 2 support comps feel like they were a little too bursty here, then I guess that would be the natural progression of the meta is just go to a 3rd comp and see how that, or a 3rd support and see how that works.
No, I think I think Kill is right though. I think the class stacking is too broken. Like the reason why 2 support is too weak is because we have like very insane DPS classes. Like Scourge is insane DPS,
Mhm.
and 10 is insane Spike, Spellbreaker is insane everything. If you stack just all those 3 classes, it's over.
Yeah, we could see it going off for sure.
How did you feel about the competition today? Like, did you feel like the fight quality was pretty good?
Yeah, it was fine. But yeah,
we're
again,
too shit to make competition.
yeah, like
Bit unlucky.
I don't think the meta was favoring us, especially, but we could have cooked, but it's not like there is a ton of stuff to play. Because like as Happy said, there is like Scourge and Tamed and Spellbreaker being really good already. And like power comp as well, like the fights go really fucking fast.
Mm.
Like 20-30 seconds.
How did it feel? Yeah, some of your guildies were made another team. Like, was it satisfying coming up against them?
Yeah, it was fine.
Okay. And then, are there any lessons here that you think are going to be useful for 20s tournament, or maybe a potential 10s tournament in the future?
No, it's not at all the same. Like,
Yeah.
like legit, if you like, we played as well. The PvP M8 is like for 3v3 and 2v2. It's exactly the same as this tournament, and like there is no lessons. It's BO5. Like it's too quick. The meta is volatile. Like you just need to cook better and better game plan or better individualities. Like yeah, this meta is just a lot of APM. Like there is no lessons to.
Would you rather see BO7 as something longer, or is it more of an issue with the meta and the progression balance?
BO9 at least.
BO9, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
BO9.
as you see, the tournament is 2 hour long. Like you are not at all like lacking time.
Right. And it is something
And-
that we noticed over the course of the last 3 matches, is it looked like in your rounds with WTF and RCNQ, there was a lot of adjustment that the teams made between rounds, where there was, different strategies, a couple different comp changes. So, yeah, a BO9 would probably give more time for that to play out.
Yeah, like if you start losing, then like it goes really fucking fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you lose first round, it's just GG.
Are there any final words you'd like to share, or a shout out, or anybody? Or
Nah. Just thanks for organizing. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks for playing.
Awesome.
You want to head down
Congratulations
to
on
WTF
second.
now, Leon?
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, let's hop
Thank
down.
Cool.
GG's.
Hey.
Hello, Team WTF.
Hello.
Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What are your impressions of how that tournament went overall? I'm sure you had a strategy in mind, a comp in mind coming in. Did you have to adjust anything over the course of these
Yeah,
matches, or did it
play
go
lots of
mostly as you
scourges.
thought?
Play lots of scourges.
Play lots of scourges.
I mean, we had a strategy, and then we decided to just mirror people because it was going better. And we played a lot of comps and scrims, and that's what we decided in the end.
We did notice
But it was
that
fun.
we noticed that in a lot of the early rounds, people were running a lot of Spellbreaker, but by the time we got to the finals, Spellbreaker was basically gone. So was that your impression? Was that Scourge is just a better Spellbreaker than Spellbreaker is?
No, Untamed is Untamed is a Spellbreaker slot.
Oh, okay.
So the problem with Spellbreakers, when you play double Scourge, you need a stealth. Because you want to play Catalyst as well. It's a lot of boons and a free res. So if you play Spellbreaker, you don't have a stealth. You don't have stealth phase.
That's why you
so
need
you
to
have
Druid
to slot in the Untamed.
or Untamed. Yeah, it's one or the other.
And Untamed is actually, it's pretty hard to play into double Scourge. You get like Condi bombed, you can die randomly. It happened once against the same team in semis, I think.
Yeah, with the double Scourge, we did see a ton of Condi pressure going out, and especially when it's a single Catalyst or a single Druid trying to cover that off and get those Condis out. Sometimes it's just not nearly enough.
Yeah, and Kata also dies to Scourges. If you swap to it mid-round, if they don't expect it, they die as well.
How do you guys feel about the rules this time around, and specifically the minstrel stacking rule?
I think
I feel like I think it's good. It's good. Otherwise, you could play like double Scourge, triple support, something like that.
If
you'd run one Minstrel Scourge, one DPS Scourge, or would you run double Minstrel Scourge?
No, double Trailblazer, and you run triple support.
Okay.
Triple like regular support.
Gotcha.
You can play Druid, Chrono, and Catalyst, and then you're super tanky and you have healing boons. And it's gonna take a long time around. Yeah.
Like you can still play 3 healers, but just one without Minstrel, right? And it's just not worth it then.
Okay.
It would be fun to have 5 unique specs, honestly. So you have
Highlander
some variety. Yeah.
So the spec stacking ban as well as the minstrel stacking rule.
Yeah, that'd be really good. That'd be really fun
Yeah.
to watch actually. Instead of watching double Scourge wailing each other.
So 2 minstrels, only 2 minstrels, and then no spec stacking. Yeah, I could see that.
Sounds like
Open up
the
some hooks, yeah.
I mean, it kind of sounds like wouldn't that just be the same, a mix of? Would you still run any necros then if you can't stack them?
You could.
Yeah, but
could run one
lose
necro.
Yeah,
Breach.
for sure.
Hey, we saw how much work Breach put in a lot of these final rounds. It just makes an area on the ground that you cannot stand in. So losing Breach is a big deal.
Even one
A lot
Scourge
of
is
the
fine.
A lot
Makes
of
it
the
really hard for
DPS are
Warrior
still melee
to play the
heavy.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So I'm curious, not to like, sow the fire or anything, but Sahelia, I know you're NA, but how many who else here is on your team is NA, and how many are EU?
So me and Ryan are NA, and the other 4, Gornid, Aza, Hypnos, and Benny, they're EU.
Okay. Cool. How did the lag difference feel competing here versus that kind of NA series for you?
For me, it was fine because I'm East Coast, but Ryan had some ping issues, as you saw, so he couldn't play finals, and I had to swap to Chrono with no practice.
Yeah, it would be
Otherwise, it's
really
fine.
neat to set up some more kind of cross-region play to help EU and NA scenes both grow, but it does feel like the ping is an obstacle for people who are playing on West Coast.
It's not
a
really
long way to send.
just the ping; it's the gear as well.
Yeah, you gotta transfer your
Gear is a
main.
big part.
Most
right.
people, I guess, are against that.
Yeah.
From my understanding. But I played the last NA tourney, and to me, ping is fine as long as you don't play a spec like Thief. Maybe that's entirely port dependent.
Yeah.
Like, I don't notice any difference really if I'm like playing as support.
Or a Scourge. Doesn't make a difference at all.
I mean,
Okay,
you can
well-
get used to it if you like play some scrims, but if you just transfer, it's really rough. Because everything you do is delayed, so you're not used to it. You might make mistakes you don't usually do.
Yeah, you have to get at least some time to get used
You need
to
some
it.
practice there.
Would you guys be more interested in the future in a 5s tournament or a potential 10s tournament?
I would do both, to be honest.
Yeah, I would be done. Same.
Yeah.
It's just competition. I'm down for that.
And are there any
think
kind
both
of
are-
balance changes that you're thinking about that might make the game a little bit more interesting, or this format of tournaments a bit more interesting? Sounds like maybe Untamed is a little overtuned.
Untamed is okay, to be honest.
No, I would say Untamed
worse.
is fine.
Okay.
It's
I
fine
think just
because
Scourge right now. Just Scourge right now, to be
counters
honest.
it, yeah.
Yeah, I think spec stacking would solve a lot. Like, you can't have double warrior, double scourge, stuff like that.
And spec stacking at 10s would be really interesting too, because you need to fill it out with more specs.
Yep.
You can't just
That's
run like
for sure.
5
About
scourge and 10.
tens, it's a bit more difficult, I would say, there than it is in 5s.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess as champions of this tournament, you know, I kind of have this thing where you guys can kind of add a rule for the next one, change a rule. It kind of sounds like you would want to have the same, if it's 5s, to do both rules of spec stacking as well as max 2 minstrels. Is that correct?
Yep, that sounds good to me.
For
Yeah.
5v5, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
For 10s, it might be a little different.
Yeah,
for 5s.
I agree. For 5s, sure.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Do you have any idea?
Is there any last final words? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sheff.
You have any idea of when that next tournament might be, Leon?
Yeah. So, you know, this is to the stream, but I'm tentatively thinking for the next month or 2 months to have an NA event. Not to conflict with any other scheduled tournaments. I'm leaning more towards 10s right now than 5s, but be on the lookout for about a month and a half, 2 months from now. And yeah, we'll make it work, and it's gonna be fucking awesome.
And that would be through Guilds of the Mist that you're coordinating that?
Guilds of the Mist, probably with you again, Sheff. Sheff's been amazing, by the way. Like, just the amount of behind the scenes work with the stream and getting these events going. And big shout out to, you know, all the casters and Silas for adminning today, and Kiwi and Haavok and all the teams. It really, there's a lot of teamwork that happened. So,
Lots
yeah,
of things that I would like to improve on my end for the technical aspect. I feel like we could be doing a lot more to bring the true quality of these matches to the viewer, but it's been really great to see the community kind of grow up and thrive around doing 5v5s and 10v10s. So, you know, I'm really excited to be participating in those and spotlighting the competitive play that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And then I also dropped a link to the Guilds of the Mist Discord in Twitch chat. If you are interested in playing these in the future yourself, it is a really nice, welcoming community. There's a lot of support available. There's a lot of people willing to, you know, sit down and walk you through kind of the meta for these kind of things. So if you're interested in participating in these for that upcoming NA tournament, definitely get roped into Guilds of the Mist and start getting involved over there.
Yeah, Team WTF, any final thoughts, words, shout outs?
Thanks for Sheff and Expanders for making this tournament possible. I really would like to see more of these community-driven events in the future. But yeah, thanks for giving us the opportunity to play. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe you can ask Cam, you know, to co-stream with you. So, because he's experienced in like GVG, so he has good insight.
Sure. Yeah, I would be down for as many casters as possible.
Yeah,
I've
I'm
had
pretty
a
sure
great time
he.
casting with Kiwi and Haavok, but I do like to have a rotating cast of different people, so you can see a lot of different
Yeah,
perspectives and thoughts.
Because Cam, I think he did the last 32 on NA. He had a good stream. He has a lot of insight in these small scale. I think it's good if he's down, obviously.
Yeah, I'll get in touch with him. I was also talking to Chomp a bit about whether she would be interested in casting. So I've got a couple ideas for a rotating cast of characters that we could do on these streams, and I can also bring back Digi and Haavok as well to keep all of us kind of involved in the scene. I think there's definitely more people interested in casting overall than we can fit into one stream, so we can have a bigger panel and everyone can kind of get to participate.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for
for
having us, Sheff.
Of course. So I'll
Great,
be in
well,
touch about prizes through Guilds of the Mist. I'll get those coordinated with you, and yeah, I think you guys are good to go and enjoy the rest of your days. Congratulations again.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
GG's to the casters
Yes.
and the players.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. So I think that is going to be wrapping up the EU 5v5 tournament. Thanks for getting together and hanging out today. Thank you for bearing with some of the stream quality issues that we have. We're going to continue working on those. It's difficult to get good quality out of Discord, so I might just end up pursuing a different solution to that altogether to see if I can up the quality on the stream overall. If you are interested in catching the other things that I do on this channel in terms of streams or videos, I have a Discord. You can sign up for that, get access to stream links, YouTube links, VOD links, all that kind of stuff. If you're looking to get involved in larger scale World versus World, I have a YouTube channel. You can find edited, curated World versus World guide videos for commanding open field squads, patch reviews with a focus on 10, 15, 20-man comp groups, as well as different build guides. And then if you're looking for stuff that we've done on the channel in the past, whether it is World versus World, Guild Wars 2 related, or in other games, I've got a VODs channel as well. I'm going to go see how much longer Digi plans on streaming, because we might go kick him a raid. Digi, how much longer are you streaming for? Did you end the collab already? There you are. I'm going to go find someone massive to raid then, if you and I are both going to wrap up. Let's see who else is streaming today. I don't know. I think we're going to find out. I think we're going to learn together today. Let's see. Who's playing World versus World and could use a bit of help? I just kind of want to see if this is going to work. Looks like, you know what? Crimson is out roaming on Catascrapper. I'm going to go give him a shout. I've watched him a couple times. So let's go /raid Crimson 13N. You've got my socials up above. Digi, you can probably drop yours in chat too if you've got them. Just so that we get your promo in as well. And then we'll catch you guys around in the next one. But thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching the Fives tournament. If you have feedback, best way to give that would be either to Leon or me in Discord DMs. And we'll see you around for the next one. But thanks so much for hanging out today. And go and give Crimson a nice warm welcome for us as well. We've got a big old stream right now, so I'm sure he'll appreciate it.